everybody. I'm SmashySR.
And I'm SmashySR.
And he'll be doing most of the commentary so I can focus on the run. So.
Alright, so we're going to be doing Orion the Blind Forest here. This category is Seinless, Bashless, Stompless, which I'll explain a little bit more once we get started. Smashy, you want to count us in?
Yep. Alright. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck. Okay, so Orion the Blind Forest. This is a Metroidvania platformer from 2015, and we're playing the Definitive Edition, which added some new skills, notably like a dash, which is really, really awesome, which we're going to get to see. Also added some small new areas as well. A Metroidvania, for those who are not in the loop, is essentially a platformer that is based on exploration, as well as finding new abilities that give us access to areas we couldn't get to before. And Seinless, Bashless, Stompless is a category where we must complete the game as well as all of its tracked in-game events without ever collecting Sign, Bash, or Stomp, which are 3 very important abilities, which we're going to be skipping and showing off a lot of really cool tech to show how we can do the game without those. Now, real quick, we are heading over to the left here to collect, well, we're supposed to collect the ability Sign right here, which is our basic attack, but we actually are just grabbing this experience and leaving. The reason we are collecting experience is that gives us the ability to level up our abilities, as well as when you do level up from collecting that experience, you're going to send out this big wave of energy, which does damage, and because we have no way to attack, that's going to be like pretty much our only way to deal damage for now. So we're carefully routing our experience to make sure that that level up wave happens at the exact right time. Also going to be seeing a lot of these damage boosts because we just don't have any way to actually attack these obstacles and get them out of our way. So for a little bit of safety, we're going off and taking a safety save. And now we are seeing a pretty cool trick there where she made a save and died intentionally, and during her invincibility frames of respawning, she was able to get on that jump pad and get out. Now we're about to be setting up a trick where we're going to be collecting some keystones to get through a door. Now these keystones don't actually spawn when you don't have Sign, but we can get around it by coming up to where the keystone is supposed to be, making a save here, and then we're going to exit the game and reload in. And when you first load in, for 1 frame the key is actually spawned before it deloads, so the fact that we've stepped right on it means that we get it. But now we're doing another trick here called Save Anywhere, where we have opened up this menu that allows you to level up your abilities and glitched the game to allow us to still move in the background. Now when you spend those points to level up an ability, it has the effect of saving the game. So by using that trick, we're able to save the game pretty much anywhere we want to. And she used that on top of a keystone to do the same trick again, get our second keystone, and get that door open. We're going to be seeing that Save Anywhere trick a lot more later. It's used for quite a few glitches in this game, and a lot of cutscene skips and things like that. She just collected a health cell. These green health cells and blue energy cells are going to be scattered throughout the world, and we're going to find them to level up our stats. Health just means we can take more hits, and we're going to be collecting a total of 5, which we need because in the very end section of the game we're going to be doing a damage boost that does 4 damage to us, so we need to get to 5 health. So definitely a very scary run because we're only collecting that 5 health and it's pretty low. Now, she just flashed her UI on there. By pressing a key combination on your keyboard, you're able to hide that, and that skips all of the dialogue for you in the game, so it's definitely faster to do it. But it does mean that she has to keep in her head all of the totals of her life and her energy and her experience. She can't actually just, she doesn't get to see it on screen unless she turns it back on. So a lot of stuff to keep track of, and that's a good point to mention that basically the entire run, she's going to have to be keeping track of her experience from start to finish, because there's going to be a trick at the end where we need to get one of those level ups that triggers the energy wave right at the very end. And so we have to route our experience for the entire run closely enough that we're able to predict exactly when that's going to happen. There's a blue energy cell. That's another one we're going to be getting. We're going to get a total of 4 of those, and energy is important for a couple of reasons. Primarily in this category, at least for the first half, it's what we do to save. When you see her charge up and then put those little blue save points down just like that, that costs an energy to do so. And then later on, we're going to be using a leveled up version of our dash that costs energy as well as our primary way of moving around. So we have to conserve our energy very closely and keep track of it. Tricky little jump here. Very nice, very clean. That's actually a lot harder than it looks because you have to get around that little lip in the rock there, and it can be pretty tricky. This is another little bit of tricky movement here, trying to get around this frog without taking any damage. And very nice, very nice. So that means we're going to be able to take a damage boost up here that speeds up this section. Damage boosting is incredibly useful in this category because our movement abilities are fairly limited and we don't have any way to attack things. So you saw right there that level up animation, the wave went out and destroyed all of those little thorny brambles and got them out of the way there. So that's a really useful use of our level ups coming up. A little bit more damage boosting to get back out of here. Again, this is all stuff that would be trivial if we were allowed to pick up Sign, because you could just shoot these things out of your way. But in the Seinless, Bashless, Stompless category, that actually becomes a pretty significant obstacle to us.
So yeah, here we're at 2 health. I've actually got to pick up this to get through this next wall. So
yeah, it's super critical in SPS to route all of your, to really, really keep track of all of your health and energy, because we end up damage boosting so often in this category. One more damage boost, we drop the save so that we get through it on the respawn invincibility frames, and we're now going to be going into this area, Blackroot Burrows, that was added in the Definitive Edition DLC. This is where we're going to be getting our dash ability, which is absolutely crucial for going fast. It's going to speed us up so much.
It's also impossible to run this category without dash.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. we literally need it to be able to do a lot of the tricks that get us through this. At that statue there was a cutscene that we were supposed to watch going in, but that was a demonstration of how that save anywhere technique allows us to skip cutscenes. Basically, you get up save anywhere so that you're moving behind the menu, and you start the cutscene, and then you spend one of your points to level up an ability and save the game, and then you reload back to the menu and back in. And as soon as you start a cutscene, the game flags the cutscene as having been watched. So you've saved the game, and it thinks that you've watched the cutscene, and then you load back in, and you just don't have to finish watching it. So we're going to be using that a whole lot to bypass cutscenes that we don't want to watch. Now the mechanic in this area is it's very, very dark, but this little orb that we've picked up will follow us around, and we have to carry it to the end to place it in a pedestal that's going to turn the lights back on. Now obviously while we're carrying this, you can see how much slower we are, and our movement is very, very, it's sluggish and difficult to get around. So it's actually surprisingly tough to platform through this section when your movements are so limited. Nice, that was really, really close.
Yeah, I'm going to miss this, but I didn't want to die there. It's a big time loss, so.
Yeah, we were just a little bit behind on our cycles, so things got a little bit hairy, but made it through cleanly. Only missed one cycle on these platforms. But anyway, as I was saying, this orb follows you around, but one of the side effects of not having picked up Sign is the game is programmed to have the orb come to where Sign is, but we don't actually have Sign, so it defaults to instead going where your save point is placed. So we have to carefully conserve our energy. On the times that we put the orb down and need it to come back to us, we need to be able to put a save point down in a position where it will come back. Yeah, so we're almost to the end there. Okay, missed a little bit of a cycle here. Yeah, that's okay. It's just a few seconds. Not gonna make it or break it. So that statue to our right there is where we're gonna need to place the orb after we go and find a lever up here that's going to raise the statue up and let us place it in it. But we're going to have to put the orb down to pull the lever, and to get the orb to come back to us, we're going to have to place a save down there, which we'll be seeing here shortly. Very nice. So we just have to raise the platform up, go down and put a save down, and get the orb to come back to us, and then we will be essentially finished with Blackroot Burrows for the most part. We will be coming back here a little bit later. Orb? Hello?
No, this is how SPS works. Okay. It takes 8 seconds for it to come back.
Oh yeah, okay. So when you have it like this, it just takes a while for it to show up.
Yes. This is the only way to get the orb back to us, is to save and reload. So.
All right, so now the lights are coming back on. You'll get to see how pretty this area is. Obviously, you guys don't need me to tell you this. This game is absolutely gorgeous, both visuals and music. It's so good. Anybody who likes platformers, or honestly just if you like video games, you honestly should try this game out. It's pretty cheap, really, really, really good. The platforming mechanics and the fluidity of the movement is so good. This is a very popular speed game relative to how well the game sold overall. There's a lot of active runners for it. This and the sequel both. And it's because I think the movement is very, very fluid. All the momentum of your character and how the movement abilities chain together is super, super satisfying to get better at. Okay, so we're now setting up a very difficult trick where we're going to be using this boulder to push us out of bounds through the floor here. And so we're now actually under the floor, and we're going to place a save under it, and then we're going to come and we're going to get this health cell and the teleporter, and then we're going to go back and we're going to be using something called Rekindle, where you reactivate a save point. and we're going to reactivate that save point and load the game so that we get back underground and out of bounds. Now, if you look at the map of the whole world, we're actually very close to an area called Moon Grotto, which is the next place that we want to go to. So by being underground and doing some precise movement out of bounds here, we just fall into Moon Grotto, and now we're trying to make a very tough cycle here. This movement is incredibly precise. Oh, didn't quite make it, didn't quite make it. That was even like pretty good movement, but it's just like, it's only a few frames worth of timing window that you can get in there. It's very, very difficult. So, you know, it's just a few seconds lost here and there. It's not a big deal. Now collecting a couple of keystones to open a door. This is some intentional damage we're taking because we're going to be showing off something called Ghost Door here. Rather than watch the animation of that door opening, you can place the keys in the door, save, and die, and then when you reload, the door will just already be open. So it saves us a few more seconds there. We are now picking up Double Jump, which is pretty much what it sounds like. Lets you do a second jump in the air. Mostly useful for keeping yourself in the air longer and horizontal movement. It does pop you up vertically, but not all that much. It's more like it just keeps you in the air floating for a long time. But it's going to be very important for a lot of our platforming here coming up. So now we're headed back out of Moon Grotto. And don't underestimate the difficulty of the movement in this section. The way that they've programmed the walls in this game, like all those little nooks and crannies in the walls, those are actually how the hitboxes of the walls work. They're not just like flat things with visuals. You have to actually like move in those walls correctly. Tough little trick here. She's going to be trying to get a precise wall jump off of a spot you're not supposed to be able to. Very, very good. That skipped going off to the left and doing a long section, so that saved us a little bit more time. Now we're using that save anywhere trick again to skip the... There's a cutscene right here that we don't want to have to watch, and it causes a bunch of boulders to fall down the shaft, which we don't want to have to spend time dodging. So by using that save anywhere, we bypass that as well. Sorry, a rekindle, yeah. So we're basically using like that save exploit to not have to deal with that cutscene. We're gonna be doing it one more time here, where we rekindle that cutscene, rekindle that save after walking into a cutscene, and we bypass one where Gumo pulls this lever here. And one more we're gonna have coming up. We're collecting the water vein. This is the key to get into the first dungeon of the game, which we won't actually be coming to until quite a bit later. Getting this key is one of the 6 world events we are required to do to complete the category. But we skipped a cutscene of that bridge breaking and opening. You saw the camera kind of like fall down. That's because that cutscene was supposed to show Ori falling down after that bridge broke. But we bypassed it thanks to that glitch and had to do a little bit of movement off screen. And we are now most of the way out of Moon Grotto. Just going to take some time to collect an energy cell here because it's mostly on our way. Very nice. Spooky, because we're pretty low health there, and that guy that fell down there would have... I think I'm almost certainly going to have killed you there.
It would have damaged us, and it makes this part a little bit tougher.
Okay.
So I do a safety save because we're about to level up, and that's fine.
That's what the safety save is for. Yeah, so another effect of leveling up is, in addition to that wave of damage, you also get a refill on your health and energy, so that's pretty helpful as well. Continuing to collect some experience here. Remember, she is having to keep track of every single point of experience that she picks up because we need to have a precise level up at a very specific time towards the end of the run. Otherwise, it's actually impossible to finish. So yet another level up there, able to kill some enemies for us and get them out of the way, get us some more experience. We are now going to be headed close to where that first dungeon is, the Ginzo tree, but we're not actually going to be going into it. We are going to come back later with much more of, like, a lot better of a set of abilities. They're going to let us get through it much quicker. We are just coming in here to activate this teleporter. These little, like, pads on the ground here, those are, they're both save points and teleports that you can go in between, and we're going to need this teleporter for later.
No, we're not.
Oh, you just do, this is just to come back to Ginzo.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay, I keep thinking we use that for the teleport anywhere later.
There was an old route that we did, yes.
Smashy is much more familiar with this category than I am. I apologize.
That's okay. Sorry, I'm not talking very much.
Yeah, this is a really, really technical speed run, very difficult. So it's hard to play and pull all these tricks off at the same time. So we're now back close to the beginning of the game. We're going to be sort of continuing along the path that the game sort of intended for you to do, but we're going to do a little bit of a glitch here first. We're going to do something called a key duplication. You'll notice she only had one keystone prior to doing that, but what she did was she saved far enough away from the door that she was in a separate loading zone, put the key in the door, and then took an intentional death. And the technical explanation is a bit long, but the long and short of it is just that we basically double the number of keys we had placed in the door. So even though we only had one, we duplicated it, got a second key, and are now able to open this door without having to go get another one. So this area here has a lot of keystones as well, but we do have a 4 keystone door coming up that we're going to have to spend all of them on shortly. Alright, just continuing to collect more experience and these keystones to get out and up to our next area. The area we're about to be going into is kind of like a central hub area. It's sort of central in the map and leads off into several different directions that, like, this is kind of like in the middle of the map, and we will, oh boy.
I wanted that first damage, but not anything.
Very nice, another little damage boost there. Alright, so we're setting up a save there because, similar to how the orb worked back in Blackroot Burrows, we're about to be getting an ability called Charge Flame, which is an ability where you charge up an attack by spending energy, and it makes like a big explosion. But that, where that explosion happens targets based on where Sign is. But again, this is Seinless, Bashless, Stompless. We don't actually have Sign. So the way the game works is it targets where your save point is at. So we went off to the left there and left that save point there so that when we come back, it'll already be there, ready to charge flame. And that blue, like, rocky door that was in the way, that can only be broken by charge flame of the abilities that we have right now. You can also break it with Stomp, but this is Seinless, Bashless, Stompless, so we actually can't get that one either. So this is our only way to break that door, and going through that door is our only way to get off to the entire left-hand side of the map, which has a lot of stuff that we very much need. So we just acquired that Charge Flame ability and spent a point to glitch out this cutscene of getting the ability. The reason that we're doing this is there is a door off to the right that we actually just passed through that we weren't supposed to be able to. During that cutscene, it's unloaded, so by skipping it and being able to move during that cutscene, we were able to pass through that door without having to break it. So you're not going to see that Charge Flame trick I was talking about. She's charging it up on that save point, and we'll be able to break it right here. There you go. And the reason we have our Save Anywhere menu up is we're going to be showing off a very, very cool trick that we're going to be using quite a few times during the run. This is called Terra Clipping, and it's a way to get out of bounds basically anywhere you want to. And the long story short way that it works is we're going to get very close to a wall, and you're going to dash towards the wall at the exact same time that you spend a point to save the game, and then you're going to leave the load zone that you've done that in and go take an intentional death. And you're going to, when you load back in, you're going to be moving from the dash towards that wall so fast that the game doesn't load the wall in time, and you get through it before it reloads and you're out of bounds. And that's what's happened here. We basically zoomed through the wall while it was loading back into the game and got ahead of it. So this has allowed us to bypass a door that we have no way to open right now. And we are now in Valley of the Wind, which is one of the late game hubs. This is sort of like the central area that leads to our 3 main end game areas. So stuff around here is quite a bit scarier than it used to be, and does a lot more damage. We just saw the rocket jump exploit, which is really, really cool. That essentially is you're dashing. We've leveled up our dash so that you can spend energy to make it go farther and faster. But you're charge dashing at an enemy and then canceling it out with a jump, and the game forgets to decelerate you essentially. So you just go up and up and up and up and up, and you can gain incredible vertical height and speed that way. Super, super good trick. Unfortunately, while I was explaining that, we just did another awesome glitch. There's a lot of stuff going on in this. So what you just saw there was she was setting it up so that her charge flame redirected a shot from a spider at a set of rocks that was way up above where we couldn't see. And then she raced away from it so that it unloaded some terrain that was in the way so that that spider shot was able to go up and break those rocks. The reason we needed to break those rocks is if you don't, you can't get through this area that we're in right now, and that big giant bird there is in the way. So by doing that, we're able to essentially like fully access this area around here later, and we're able to get the feather ability. Breaking those rocks triggers giving you this feather, which is like it's basically a glide that'll allow you to keep in the air much longer and preserve our momentum very well. So we need that for continuing through the run. That's what we broke those rocks for. But now we are on into Misty Woods. This is my personal favorite area of the run. Misty Woods is kind of analogous to Lost Woods from Zelda. the terrain shifts as you go through it. It will seem like it's linear the whole way, but like you'll keep having to double back, and things will be different than the last time you passed through there. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing a whole lot of it. The entire reason we're here is actually just because we are, if you zoomed out on the whole world map, we're kind of above the second dungeon of the game, Forlorn Ruins, which is an area that we need to go to because it has one of those world events we're required to do to complete the game. So we're just going to be coming in here long enough to set up another one of those Terra clips to get out of bounds from near where we're at right now, and then we're going to float through the void out of bounds to get into the end of that dungeon later. We have not actually acquired the key to get into that dungeon, so we wouldn't be able to go in through the front door. This is our only way to get into it right now. So she just set up her Terra clip there to get through that wall. Now going out of that load zone, taking intentional death, she falls out of bounds and has gotten through that wall and is now dashing off into the void. You can see behind, if you can tell behind it, there's just like a gray void going on right now. She's just holding right and gliding into the final room of the Forlorn dungeon, completely bypassing that entire dungeon, as well as the entire second half of Misty Woods. So now we need to activate the wind event here. This is, remember there are 6 events we need to do. There's 3 keys to the dungeons we need to get, and then there's 3 dungeons we need to complete. So this is the second of those dungeons we have to, yeah, sound warning, might get a little out here. Anyway, so there's like an escape sequence where we have to get away from a lot of, well, there we go. Okay, so we have to activate that, but rather than actually take the time to do the entire escape, because the game considers the escape as having completed as soon as we activated it, we were able to save the game at a certain point during that cutscene and reload the game, and it essentially placed us back outside of the escape, and we can just walk out of there and not actually do the entire escape sequence. So we're now back in an earlier part of Forlorn. We're going to do a key duplication here. This is the fastest place to do key duplication in the game because, as you can see, we're able to put a lot of keys into the door to duplicate at a time, and it's very quick to take those deaths. Now we're going to be doing like a variation of that save anywhere trick. This is teleport anywhere, where we're going to gain control during the teleport animation, and we're going to use this dungeon's mechanics to get sideways gravity and teleport, and we now actually have sideways gravity outside of the dungeon, and while we're holding this orb, we can just fall back into Misty Woods. Now keep in mind, because we out of bounds into Misty Woods, we've essentially broken it, and the parts that we were supposed to be seeing right now have not been loaded, and so we just fell through Misty Woods right to the very end of the entire Misty Woods area. Totally bypassed like most of the Misty Woods area because of this. Now doing a little glitch that's going to allow us to actually hold both of these orbs at once, and we're going to head out of here. And the reason we had to come back here is right at the very, very end of Misty Woods. We have this is the event where we get the keystone that goes into that second dungeon that we already completed. So you can really see like how incredibly broken the game has become because of these glitches we've done. Like, we completed the dungeon and have now just gotten the key to allow us to get into that dungeon in the first place. So we've, at this point, if you are keeping track at home, we have gotten the key to the first dungeon, we've gotten the key to the second dungeon, and we have completed the second dungeon. So we still have both the key and completion for the third dungeon, and we need to complete the first dungeon. So we are now going to go take care of the key to the third dungeon, which is up in an area called Sorrow Pass. Sorrow Pass, another very cool late game area. It's got a lot of the most difficult aerial platforming in the game. There's a lot of these wind currents that we're going to be riding with Feather, and there's a lot of spikes everywhere, and they do 4 damage, and we only have 5 health, so the margin for error in this area is super low. Going to be doing a cool trick here. We need to use this frog shot to break this roof here. So you time that rocket jump very precisely so that the frog aims at you as you're going upwards, and its shot fires much higher than it normally would be able to and follows you up and breaks that roof for you. Again, keep in mind all of these spikes do 4 damage. Very, very, very scary. Got through there cleanly. Very nice. One more little ghost door here. And we are now going to be acquiring the charge jump ability. Very, very powerful skill. Charge jump allows you to charge up for about a second on your upward momentum, and then when you jump, you're going to launch upwards very high. It gives you a lot of vertical movement, and it can be used to break a lot of terrain, and it does quite a bit of damage as well. So we've finally acquired like a reasonable damage source if we need to fight anything. Very, very cool. It's a really, really fun skill. Uh,
Ooh, hello.
Quick little side note, I would like to point out if anybody likes this game, this has a fantastic randomizer, and getting charge jump in randomizer is like a very, very powerful ability. It gets you access to so much. I'm always happy to see charge jump in randomizers. So we're using our save anywhere trick once again. A little bit hard to see what's going on in the background, but we are just floating upwards to where the key to the third dungeon is. The reason we have save anywhere up is there's a long, long cutscene associated with getting that keystone. We don't want to watch it, so we're just going to spend a point once we actually start the cutscene and bypass watching it entirely. Coming up here shortly. Just have to wait until the actual animation of picking up the key goes off. So now that we've gotten this, we have our keys. We have the keys to all 3 dungeons, and we have completed the second dungeon. We are now going to go complete the first dungeon because we have all of the skills that we need to complete the game now. We have not gotten Bash, not gotten Stomp, and not gotten Sign, which are normally important abilities, but the combination of skills that we have right now with a clever enough use of tricks and clever movement allows us to still complete the game anyway. So we've just got to get ourselves back out of Sorrow Pass here and go back and complete the first dungeon.
So I guess, yeah, okay, we do use this later, but not for what I think you were thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking we were using it for teleport anywhere, not for just teleporting to it. So anyway, we're now back towards the teleporter we activated quite early on, and we're going to be activating the... we're going to be coming in and doing the Ginzo tree dungeon. I think for people who have played this game, this is definitely one of the areas they remember the most fondly. It's the first dungeon. Very, very cool because it's where you get the ability Bash, which to a lot of people I think is one of the most important skills in the game, and kind of like what separates Ori from a lot of other platformers. But we will completely be bypassing it here, which is kind of insane because if you tell people that, like, hey, you can beat Ori without Bash, a lot of people would be like, how is that even possible? Because Bash is so crucial to the platforming in the intended way of playing the game that it's very, very cool that it's possible to like speedrun this game without acquiring it at all. This dungeon is like a very large vertical tree here. We're going to be spending almost the entire time just like climbing up and up and up, going through all these series of puzzles. We just saw how Charge Dash can redirect that little fireball there to skip most of that puzzle. We've got a little mini boss here. We're going to be seeing how awesome that Charge Jump and Charge Dash abilities are because they do so much damage and just like completely obliterate that boss so fast.
The Rainbow Dash actually like hides the sound of the C dash, and it makes it sound like a regular dash, so it's hard to tell if I've actually like done it.
Yeah, oh, I guess we should mention that little like rainbow behind Ori when she dashes, that is not how the game normally is. That's a bit of an Easter egg, and for the sake of the marathon, we've activated it just because it's kind of cool. But it does change the sound of dashing and makes it a little bit harder to tell if you've done charge dash or regular dash. That tree back there was Bash. We've completely bypassed it. Now this section is supposed to be like a tutorial on how Bash works. And so all of these puzzles are assuming that you have it, and what Bash does is let you grab onto these little lanterns and any sorts of enemies or projectiles and launch yourself off of them. So we're going to have to instead take a lot of damage boosts and things like that to get through this area.
Oh, that's okay.
We are almost done. We've just got a mini boss we need to destroy here.
Yeah, he's going to kill me. It's fine. Because I hit the spikes. Of course he didn't hit me then.
Very nice. Alright, so remember we talked earlier about how we need to be carefully routing our experience. This is the point at which we need to do that. This part of the map, there are 2 puzzles, one on the right and one on the left. We actually have no way of breaking the barrier on the right, but instead what we're going to do is we're going to level up off of this frog, and the level up wave is going to go out and break those brambles on both sides. So even though we didn't go to the right-hand side at all, we still were able to break them both. So that's the point of having kept track of our experience the entire time. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. But we are about to do a definite fan favorite section of the game. This is the water escape. We're going to have to make our way vertically out of this escape while this water is chasing behind us. And it's going to rubber band up to us no matter how fast we move. So this is a very dangerous section. We have several tough damage boosts. And if you fall back into this water, you're pretty much just toast. Fortunately, we have a very powerful set of abilities, like the rocket jumps and the charge jumps and things like that, but you can see how the water just rubber banded right back to us there, so the threat not gone at all. We are coming up closely to the most dangerous section of it. We're going to have several damage boosts coming up here. Because of the fact that we don't have Bash, we're going to have no choice but to dunk into some of these spikes here. We're going to have our first one right here, Very nice. We're going to have one more that we dash into and then try to get a charge dash off of. Oh, no. Oh.
Right. I got on the wall.
That's unfortunate. We weren't quite on the ground. We weren't considered grounded on those spikes to get a charge dash or charge jump back off of it. And so unfortunately fell back into the spikes for a second hit. It is okay, though. You just have to start back from the beginning of the escape, which, given how fast we're able to burn through it, it's not that much time lost. We'll get another try at it here in just a second.
We get to listen to more of this awesome music.
Yes, that is... the soundtrack in this game is just phenomenal, and the soundtrack in the second one also phenomenal as well. I definitely recommend both games to anybody who is liking what they're seeing, even just casually, but I obviously as a speed game as well. Very nice. Got the charge jump out of the spikes there and out and through. Very, very good. That is like one of the final bosses of SBS for sure. Very, very difficult escape. Smashy showing off how competent she is to have gotten it on the second try there. Alright, so at this point we are essentially done. We've done the first dungeon and gotten its key. We've done the second dungeon and gotten its key. And we have the key to the third dungeon. All that remains is we need to go actually complete the third dungeon, which is also coincidentally where the end of the game is. So we're going to do another little Terra clip here because without Stomp we actually don't have any way to get out of this area. So we're getting out of the load zone, going and taking some intentional damage here to take a death. And then we will out of bounds through the wall. And we're back out of this area that we were locked into by completing that escape. So we're just making our way back to a teleporter now so that we can go and do the final dungeon. A little bit of a cutscene we're trying to get over there. Very nice, very nice. And we're almost back to our teleporter here. And so this is where we set up the teleport anywhere, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to be using that teleport anywhere trick again, but we're going to be doing a little bit different flavor of it. We're going to be teleporting, and then we're making sure that as the teleport goes off, we're going to be on a swinging platform, and we're going to make sure that like the angle that we're at is very precise, and what it's going to do is it's going to skew the angle the teleport takes us at. And instead of going to the pad we're supposed to, it actually warps us to right outside the final dungeon. Really, really awesome. That is cleanly done on your part as well. You made that look easy. That just gets us like straight to the front door of the final dungeon. Now you might be thinking, oh, this dungeon's pretty long. It's going to take us a while to get through all of these rooms. There's eight rooms with all these puzzles you have to do. But fortunately, we have a little bit of a trick up our sleeve. Oh, unfortunately didn't get it first try. That would have been perfect timing. But anyway, we're doing a trick where you reload and you enter that door on the exact frame the game loads back in. And for some reason that I don't fully understand, instead of taking you inside the dungeon, it takes you like down and left. And that puts us down into like the area where the final escape is. So having activated that, we have now completed all 6 of our world events, and we just now have to do this final escape and complete the game. Now again, as I mentioned earlier, we have a forced damage boost that does 4 damage to us, and we only have 5 health, and we have to take a forced 4 health damage boost coming up here. So we have absolutely no margin for error. If we take any damage that's unintentional, it's over. So that was the damage boost right there. Oh boy. Oh, that's unfortunate. The hitboxes on the fire there are a little bit deceptive on how quickly they show up. So we didn't quite make it up that wall quite as much as we wanted to, and it just took a little bit of extra damage. You can see, again, absolutely no margin for error. Uh-oh.
Okay. Curl's not spawned yet. It's fine. Nope. Okay. I was wondering if I could get past that.
It's okay. It's okay.
You know what?
We got lots of time. This is a very, very challenging final escape with this set of movement. Like, obviously, this is the very last challenge in the game, so it expects you to have all of your abilities, like Stomp and Bash and things like that. But we have not picked those up, so we have to creatively deal with these in ways that are much more difficult, like these damage boosts. Very good, we got through that challenge. Now we have to avoid getting hit by these little fish right here. We don't really have any way to actually kill them, so we just have to dodge them. Very nice, that was super close but clean. And now we just have to float up. This is the final little section here. We just avoid spawning Kuro with some precise movement. And now get up one last little section here, and that will do it. Not quite time yet. Time is called in about a minute and change when you cross over behind a little tree, which is the final input, which we'll call out as it comes up. But the run is essentially over at this point. All she has to do is hold right on her keyboard, and that will move you through this final little section of inputs. So run is essentially over. There's no more time to be saved or lost here. GG. Very nicely done.
good commentary.
Thank you, thank you. Any shout outs you want to give?
Of course, obviously to you.
Thank you
for your commentary. And to the Ori community. This run is amazing. Meldon is actually the original person that did this, so thanks to them for having the initial thought of, or at least initial routing of this. And to the Ori community in general, I love all of you guys, and I probably wouldn't, be running this still if it weren't for the community. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've run a lot of different games, and Ori community is the best one I've ever seen, and like some of my best friends in life, and actually my fiance literally met through Ori. So fantastic community. Highly recommend anybody who's interested. Please check it out. So time was called. I forgot to call it out, but the timer stopped because of the auto splitter. 35:01. That's a pretty good time for a marathon. Well done.
It's like about a minute time loss, I think, with the escape and Ginzo. So, yeah.
Does anyone know if you have anything silly or fun you want to show off?
I mean, I think this category kind of shows off.
It's like silly and fun all the way through, huh?
I mean, really, it shows off a lot of different tricks in Ori, especially like the warp displacement and teleport anywhere. So.
I only briefly shouted it out, but like seriously. The Ori randomizer is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Even if you don't intend to speedrun the game, if you've just played it, enjoyed it casually, the randomizer is phenomenal, and it has modes that don't require knowing any speedrun tricks. Please check it out. You can go to orirando.com, and it'll show you how to get it set up. It's like, I speedran this game for a long time, and I put in like 1,000 hours speedrunning it, and then I think I put like another 1,500 in on just rando, because it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. You got anything else?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.